The following is a chess tactic known as interference, and as the name implies, we're going to interfere with our opponent's defense by interposing a piece at the key square which blocks the opponent's defense. So it's black's turn to move here, and one of the evaluations you always have to make is king safety, right? So this is how you break down a position, right? So let's look at from the white side. The black pawn is defending this square, so the king can't come here, the king can't come here because of the pawns, right? Now also look at the fact that white has 4 pieces against r2, so black clearly had calculated this in advance, hopefully well, to determine that he could get back the material or at least checkmate the king. So then you look at, then we do our power move evaluation, we look at our checks, right? Starting with check, and we see that black can check the king here. And then you have to, before you make those moves, you have to see how can my opponent stop or thwart my attack, which was, on the list of questions, I think question 28 or something. And we see that indeed the queen can block, interpose rather, and defend the king. So that doesn't work because we don't want to trade off our queen because we're down material, right? So then we start looking at the tactic of interference, right? We want to prevent the queen from defending this square, and we see that, yes, indeed, we have a piece that can move here. Now, we could block with the queen because the rook could also checkmate the king if we trade the queen off, but this is very different. So it requires careful calculation because we do not want to go down material here. And so, right, your skill level will determine how well you can calculate, and it will improve over time. But another general rule is you don't want to trade off your attackers, right? So when we bring the queen here, it's a little suspect, to do that just generally because we're trading off our strongest attacking piece. So let me just show you what happens if we do start with the queen, right? We do this, and he can take. Now we have to get our queen back, right? And then boom, and then suddenly he just trades off. He prevents this checkmate, which would be checkmate. So he's able to prevent it with a check. Power move number 1. How do you like that? We do that, and he takes back, and we're completely lost, right? We have no more checks that are going to lead anywhere. So that tells us we have to block with the rook. He'll throw the check in, and we have to take. Now here's now we're at this position here, and we have to determine how we will proceed. So we see that we still have this check, but we see that he will still be able to block. But the other cool thing about tactics, we're covering 13 of the, well, those are the main tactics here on this playlist. And those are the main tactics of chess, right? So you combine tactical ideas, right? Tactical motifs. And we have 2 checks, right? So always look for all checking opportunities. We have this check, and we have this check, right? So again, careful calculation. We can see that this is attraction, right? Or deflection. Attraction, we pull the king over. And then we go, oh, well, we can now checkmate the king. But when the king moves, it's vacated a square, and we have to see, can he defend that, block that attack? And we can see that the knight could swing over. So if we check with the rook, the king takes, queen check, and now the knight can block, and then we're going to lose, right? Because we're down material. So that tells us, gives us our aha moment. We check with the queen, and then boom, we check with the rook. We have a check. And then also, right, we see these lovely checking squares. Check. And we can mate on either light square. Yeah, checkmate. So that's an example of interference.